This is not a drill. This is not a simulation. And this is not something that might happen. It already has. As of February 28, 2026, just days ago, the United States and Israel launched coordinated military strikes on Iran. Cities across the country were hit. Tehran, Isfahan, Qom, Karaj, Kermanshah. The operation was codenamed Operation Roaring Lion by Israel and Operation Epic Fury by the United States. And within hours, Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, the man who had ruled the Islamic Republic for over 3 decades, was dead. The Middle East has not seen a moment like this in living memory. So in this video, we are going to break down everything: how we got here, what is happening right now on the ground, what Iran's response has been, and most critically, where this is all heading. Stay with me, because this is one of the most important geopolitical events of the 21st century. And it is happening right now. To understand this war, you have to understand the years of pressure that built up before a single missile was fired. 4 decades, Iran and Israel have been locked in what analysts call a shadow war, fought through proxies, cyber attacks, assassinations, and covert operations. Iran funded Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and the Houthis in Yemen. Israel struck Iranian weapons shipments, killed Iranian generals, and repeatedly targeted Tehran's nuclear program. But 2025 changed the equation. A joint US-Israeli operation, the so-called 12-day war in June 2025, severely degraded Iran's air defenses and set back its nuclear program significantly. Iran's regional allies, particularly Hezbollah, had already been battered by Israeli military campaigns following the October 2023 Gaza war. Then, in early 2026, Iran found itself at its weakest point in years. Crippling economic sanctions, mass protests in January, a government struggling to maintain legitimacy. U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff spent weeks in February trying to negotiate a final nuclear deal. According to Witkoff himself, those talks collapsed at the last minute. Iran would not stop enriching uranium. On February 25, Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi claimed a historic agreement was near. 3 days later, the bombs started falling. Trump posted an 8-minute video statement on Truth Social at 2:30 a.m. Eastern Time on February 28. He said Iran's activities endangered the United States and its allies. He cited the Iran hostage crisis, support for Hamas and Hezbollah, the killing of protesters, and the alleged pursuit of nuclear weapons. The objective was stated clearly: regime change. This was not a limited surgical strike. This was a comprehensive, multi-city campaign. Israel's Air Force dropped more than 1,200 munitions across 24 of Iran's 31 provinces in a single day. American B-2 stealth bombers, Lucas one-way attack drones, U.S. Navy warships, and Patriot and THAAD missile defense systems were all deployed simultaneously. The targets included Iran's nuclear facilities, missile sites, military command structures, and most significantly, the Iranian leadership itself. Supreme Leader Khamenei was killed when his compound was destroyed. Ali Shamkhani, former head of Iran's Supreme National Security Council, was also assassinated. On March 2, it was confirmed that Khamenei's wife had also died of injuries sustained in the strikes. The death toll inside Iran climbed rapidly. According to the Iranian Red Crescent, at least 787 people have been killed. Among the most devastating single incidents, a strike on an elementary girls' school in the city of Minab in southeastern Iran. Historic cultural sites were also damaged, including the Golestan Palace in Tehran, a UNESCO World Heritage Site dating back to the Qajar era. Across Iran, cities became ghost towns overnight, as civilians feared going outside. The government that had ruled for over 4 decades was, in the span of 72 hours, decapitated. Iran did not collapse silently. Tehran responded with what it called Operation True Promise 4, the fourth in a series of escalating retaliatory operations. And the scale was staggering. Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launched strikes on 27 military bases across the Middle East where U.S. troops are deployed. The countries hit include Bahrain, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. An Iranian drone struck a runway at a British military base in Cyprus, and the US Embassy compound in Kuwait was directly hit. In total, Iran launched military operations spanning 9 countries in the region. Hezbollah re-entered the conflict from Lebanon, firing missiles into Israel in what it called a response to 15 months of Israeli aggression, in violation of the 2024 ceasefire. Israel responded with a wave of strikes on Beirut, killing more than 50 people. 6 American service members have been killed. 18 more have been seriously wounded. In a stunning incident, 3 US jets were mistakenly shot down by Kuwait's own air defense systems. Trump, speaking from the Pentagon on March 3, warned that harder hits are still to come, and predicted the war could last 4 to 5 weeks. Here is where this war stops being a regional conflict and becomes a global crisis. On March 2, an IRGC commander officially declared the Strait of Hormuz closed. He stated that any vessel attempting to pass through the waterway would be set, quote, ablaze. The Strait of Hormuz is the world's single most critical energy choke point. Every day, roughly 20 million barrels of oil, about 1/5 of global oil consumption, passes through this narrow, 21-mile-wide waterway between Iran and Oman. It is the only maritime route out of the Persian Gulf. Almost immediately, commercial shipping ground to a halt. Insurance companies cancelled war risk coverage. At least 5 tankers were damaged. Over 150 ships anchored outside the strait, waiting. The economic consequences were instant and severe. Brent crude oil surged past $82 per barrel, nearly 10% higher than before the conflict began. Analysts warn that a prolonged closure could push prices past $100 a barrel. Qatar, one of the world's largest LNG exporters, halted production after Iranian drones struck its facilities at Ras Laffan. European natural gas futures spiked by 30%. Former White House energy advisor Bob McNally put it plainly, a prolonged closure of the Strait of Hormuz is, in his words, a guaranteed global recession. Trump responded by announcing the U.S. Navy would begin escorting tankers through the strait, a direct military confrontation with Iranian forces if Iran follows through on its threat. The world is now watching 3 questions that will determine everything. First, who leads Iran now? With Khamenei dead, the Islamic Republic faces a leadership vacuum unlike anything in its 47-year history. Some factions may seek survival through negotiation. Others may double down. The next supreme leader, if one is appointed, will define whether this war ends or deepens. Second, can the Strait of Hormuz stay functional? Trump has pledged Navy escorts for tankers. But if Iranian forces attack a US-escorted vessel, the United States and Iran are in direct, open naval warfare. The economic consequences of a prolonged closure, for Asia, for Europe, for the entire global supply chain, are catastrophic. Third, does this stay contained? NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has already endorsed the strikes. Russia and China have condemned them. The Houthis in Yemen have not yet resumed Red Sea attacks, but have condemned the strikes on Iran. Pakistan, which borders both Iran and is nuclear-armed, is watching closely. Every fragile balance of power in the region is now in motion. Netanyahu told Fox News this would be a quick and decisive action that would usher in peace. Trump said it could last 4 or 5 weeks. Military historians will tell you that wars rarely end on anyone's schedule. What you are watching unfold in the Middle East right now is not background noise. It is a defining moment, one that will shape the price of oil, the stability of governments, the security of every nation connected to the global economy, and the lives of millions of people who never asked for any of this. The Middle East War of 2026 has begun. Where it ends, nobody knows yet. If this video helped you understand what is actually happening, share it. The world needs more people who understand this conflict beyond the headlines. We will be covering every major development as this war evolves. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss a single update. We'll see you in the next one.